On to our final reader, who is Christine Stewart Nunez. Goes by she, her, and is a permanent resident of Canada living on Treaty 1. Christine has written 6 books, including I knew I wasn't going to get this. Chrysopoeia, is that right? Close enough.
Sure. Yeah, close enough.
Essays of Language, Love, and Place, which came out in 2022, and The Poet and the Architect, which came out the year before. Christine teaches courses at the intersections of feminism, disability, literature, and writing at the University of Manitoba. Please welcome Christine.
Thank you so much for this. This is my Canadian debut as well, so it's very exciting. And thank you, Becky, for the interpretation. So my essay is in different parts, and I will pause a bit when the sections change so that you can experience the shift. Climate change. A snowflake begins to form when an extremely cold water droplet freezes onto a pollen or dust particle in the sky. This creates an ice crystal. As the ice crystal falls to the ground, water vapor freezes onto the primary crystal, building new crystals, the 6 arms of the snowflake. The ice crystals that make up snowflakes are symmetrical or patterned because they reflect the internal order of the crystal's water molecules as they arrange themselves in predetermined spaces. And that's from How Do Snowflakes Form? Get the Science Behind the Snow. When Jim's car turned off a paved road and onto gravel, I woke up. My house was 50 miles away, and I'd fallen asleep leaning against his shoulder. Drowsy and confused, I speculated about this detour. The car didn't need gas, and my parents expected me home by now. The car stopped. Then Jim's hands were unzipping my jeans and inside. Before that night, it'd been country mouse sees city mouse in the suburban mall, popped collar and spiked bangs, senior crushes on sophomore, business-minded boy asks book nerd girl to his prom. We chatted for hours on landlines. We'd introduced his 80s rock star runabye classmates to my skirt-hiking Catholic school girlfriends. I said yes to the prom invitation. Before his car pulled off the highway, we had dined in his small town, danced at his consolidated high school, and played carnival games at the post-prom festivities. At some point, I'd exchanged taffeta for denim. Tarana Burke's account of what inspired Me Too made an impact on me, especially the ways elements coalesced to prompt Burke to reveal her status as a survivor. When a girl told Burke about her sexual assault, she struggled with how to adequately support the child. Although Burke had witnessed the testimonies of many other survivors, something about that experience compelled deep reflection and fueled Burke's activism. Burke's goal became spreading empowerment through empathy. A particular pressure, a particular quality of feeling. Burke found the courage, the energy, and the insight to start Me Too. I panicked as fear flooded my body. I had never crossed this boundary before, and I didn't want to with Jim. We seemed to be in a parking lot surrounded by trees, in the middle of nowhere or nowhere I know, I thought. My fear intensified. Could I get away if he didn't stop, and where would I get away to? I don't recall how I asked him to stop, only that he did. We drove in silence the rest of the way to my house. Jim seemed frustrated that I didn't want sex or that I resisted whatever he had in mind, and by the time I grabbed my dress from the trunk of his car, I was pissed off. What the fuck was he thinking? Did he think skipping a good makeout session and just going for what he wanted was an appropriate course of events? I refused to see him again. As a child, I made snowflakes with my classmates. I remember folding the white paper just as the teacher instructed and using my scissors to snip, snip, snip. When I opened my symmetrical creation, I was astonished by its complexity. It was so different from the snowflakes of my friends who followed the same directions but produced such different results. Each snowflake is unique, I recall my teacher explaining. When she taped all of them to the windows, I couldn't identify mine in this paper snowfall, but the collection felt profound. I chose to tell my friend Jana about what happened with Jim because she had older sisters and seemed to know a lot about dating. We hadn't done that before, and I didn't want to, I whispered to Jana as we waited for biology to start. I expected shock or righteous indignation. I expected some solidarity, some anger. Instead, she replied, "It's not a big deal. He didn't get anywhere, did he? I mean, he stopped." I began to doubt my anger as an appropriate reaction. I planned to tell more people in my circle of friends, since Jim knew some of them, but her reaction reframed it for me. Since a threshold hadn't been crossed, maybe I shouldn't have gotten that angry. Maybe my other friends would agree with Jana, and worse, they would judge me and blame me. So I shared my story with that one friend, and that's all. Now I see how Jana's reaction arranged itself in the predetermined commonplaces. It wasn't rape, so it wasn't worth more thought. Learning about the Me Too movement as it unfolded in its 2017 viral incarnation felt like a revelation. The voices were snowflakes turned avalanche, truths thundering over media. I imagined readers being shocked into belief by the sheer number of testimonies. Every story a woman told seemed brave, was brave, and I wanted to hold space for all of them. Hold space. I didn't think, and add yours. The more I read, the more detailed narratives illuminated the range of experiences under the umbrella of assault. I'd long equated sexual assault with rape, any violent penetration of the deepest and most sacred bodily spaces. Rape resulted in a breaking, perhaps of body, perhaps of self, perhaps both. But the Me Too movement added other ways assault happens: an unwanted touch, an inappropriate grab, a forced kiss. Why did I not give the same language to my experience? What needed to change before I could see my story and say, "Me too"? My first winter in Winnipeg, I witnessed days and days of snow, but not the snow I was used to falling on the prairies where I'd lived before. That winter, snow felt as if in a snow globe, and it seemed to fall every day for weeks. From my window, I could trace a flake swirling from the streetlight to the ground. Sometimes it floated before twirling out of range of the light. Sometimes I timed my breath to the snow, imagining an exhale would send a flake or two in a new direction. Sometimes, as I slept, centimeters of snow piled up and up and up. As the snow accumulated, so did the survivor stories of my students. In discussions and in writing, many shared the impact of assault on their lives. Patterns coalesced. I realized that Jim's assault on me sowed fear and self-doubt that took work to resolve. I understood far more clearly how my story formed under environmental conditions, gender expectations, patriarchal entitlement that still needed demolishing. When I taped my story on the window with the others by saying "Me too," the collective shifted my sense of my past from singular to shared. Part of an avalanche's force is sound. A pile of fresh snow compressing creates the whoomp as an avalanche begins. Then it cracks and rumbles as the snowpack thunders down the mountainside. Avalanches are often represented as rare and unexpected, a tear set against a blue sky. But thousands happen in Canada every year. They change landscapes, even on the prairies. I listen to whispering snow differently now. I hear possibility in its hushed accumulation. I hear power. Thank you.
Sorry about that. A little delay. Thank you very much, Christine.
Mhm.
I really appreciate that. I feel like that is a piece that could be very helpful to people wrestling with that question of threshold that you bring up. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.